Marty,
Yep.
here we are, another week in Canada, another embarrassment. Donald Trump trolling Mark Carney once again. I don't know if anybody's seen this. I'll pop this up on the stage. Bear with me if it's clumsy. Daily Wire shared this just the other day. It says Trump calls Mark Carney the future governor of Canada. Once again, this is the True Social post that he put out. I'm working with Governor Governor Gretchen Whitmer on trying to save the Great Lakes from the rather violent and destructive Asian carp, which is rapidly taking over Lake Michigan and all the beautiful surrounds. I'll be asking for the other governors to join this fight, including those from Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, New York, and of course, the future governor of Canada, Mark Carney, who I know will be happy to contribute to this worthy cause separately.
Like,
I'm also asking, anyway, so the carp's been a big issue for a lot of years, but this is something he just jumps out with.
now, almost every senior politician, even junior ones, have people managing their accounts. You know what I mean? Like,
Not Trump.
Not Trump, right? Unless somebody was really good at the Trumpisms, but I don't think so. Like, Trump is actually I can just imagine him, right? He's sitting there and he's telling his staff, like, give me the phone, give me the damn thing. And then he texts something real quick and then he tosses it over. And are you going to proofread Donald Trump's text and say, sorry, Mr. President, you can't do that? No, you're just like, whatever. Like,
Is what it is. He's the boss. He's throwing it out there. But insulting Canada once again. I think he does it just for fun. I honestly like the joke. The flag's a joke. But I don't think America wants Canada to be the 51st state. I wish Canada would get over that fact and then just actually get to work. Especially with we're running into shortages of oil right now because of the conflict that's happening over there. Canada could be ramping up and making a business case for fossil fuels. It's unbelievable. Canada is just so far behind. We're economic ruins.
Just in the 30 seconds you just talked, you gave us a whole bunch of things to unpack. But let's just go back to Trump real quick, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Beginning of the week, Carney, remember Carney's tweet at the beginning of the week? Like, Carney made it sound like, hey, the rest of the world wanted me to call Trump and get him to sort of ease up on Iran, right? Like, really, Carney, like, you're the guy who's going to handle Trump, right? So Carney's like, and then Carney published when they meet or when they talk, there's a transcript kind of thing, and then the Carney's office published a transcript. The transcript was basically Carney called Trump. Trump put him on hold, like, the whole time, right? Basically, I mean, like, like, that might as well be the transcript. Like, please hold, beep. Like, Carney, and then. So Carney was playing smart, like, oh, I got the president's ear. No, you were put on hold. But then the next day, do you think Trump called Carney after somebody shot up the American consulate in Toronto?
Do you think there was a phone call there? I didn't hear any reports of a phone call there.
No, but I guarantee. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm speculating. Like, do you think somebody in the White House or somebody must have called Toronto and said, "Whoa, boys, like, what's going on?" Right? Like, you're letting people shoot at our consulate. Like, that's crazy.
It's really messed up. It's really messed up that actually occurred. And
I mean, I fully expected a half a dozen Marines to be flown to Toronto and say to our RCMP, like, step aside, boys, and we're gonna beef up the security, because normally it does fall on the Marines to secure embassies. I guess consulates are a little bit. I don't know exactly that. Maybe you know what? You know who can tell us? Ravisades. Hey, Ravisades, what's the difference between an embassy and a consulate? Like,
Ravisades is a viewer, by the way, but he's just he's got all the knowledge on all of these things. I'm not sure what the difference between an embassy and a consulate is, but what I do know is that on the Canadian side, it seems like the political position has been to ignore any reports that IRGC active members have been in Canada up until just now. Like, up until just this moment, when a U.S. consulate or a U.S. embassy is attacked in Canada. And someone who's great for pointing this one out, I'll just share it on the screen. Again, and this is a little fiddly and fumbly. But this is Goldie Gumhardy. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she's Iranian. She's an ex-politician, political analyst, human rights advocate. She's been, railing against the IRGC and terrorism and jihad and all that stuff for years. She was actually kicked out of the Ontario government. She says, "Oh, look, the idiot who kicked me out of the caucus for Islamophobia 2 years later is being 2 years ago, because I was raising awareness about radical Islam in Canada, is now talking about Islamic sleeper cells in Canada." Doug Ford actually had this to say. Have a listen to this.
Have you got any indication from police that these shootings at the synagogues and this shooting at the consulate are related in any way to seeing people involved?
Yeah, no, we haven't had any information on that. But again, this is just me speaking. I believe there's sleeper cells all over the world, as we know. They're in the U.S., they're in Canada here, and we have to weed these people out and hold them accountable. Because again, folks, we all grew up here, very peaceful, loving communities all across the province, and for these people to be doing this, they need to be caught and they need to be thrown in jail for life.
Well, peaceful, fun-loving families aren't the thing that deter terrorists from being in the country. It's actually governments that are supposed to be taking care of the border and checking who's coming in, what their motives are, why they're coming, all of that stuff. But it's these guys on their watch that this all occurred, and like
he's living under he's living under a rock. Where's he? Like, I don't even want to talk about Doug Ford anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, we're peace loving. Where have you been, Doug, man? Like, there's been all sorts of this is crazy. By the way, it's funny that my son brought this up. I have a son at home right now temporarily. He's doing a work term in Calgary, so he's living with us for the next 4 months. And he mentioned that he asked a question. He's like, how come nobody attacks the U.S. after, he's surprised that Iran hasn't attacked the U.S. He's 18. He asked the question. I'm like, no, they won't attack the U.S. They'll attack the U.S. through in other countries, right? They'll attack the U.S. Navy parked in Yemen. They'll attack an embassy in Lebanon. They'll attack an embassy in a weak place like Toronto. And so it's funny that we were talking about that, and then boom, that same night it happened. So I don't know where you've been, Doug. Everybody else has been talking about sleeper cells. I mean, even our own CSIS and others have warned us that expect some retaliation. And how did Doug start that? He basically said, "Oh, it's just a coincidence." Really, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence, Doug, that somebody shot at the American Consulate in Toronto. No, it's not.
No, it's not. Not at all. No. Not at all. But expect to see more of this. In fact, expect to see more of this, because I mean, look at the streets of Toronto. People were celebrating what happened in Iran. People are celebrating. Iranians are, let's just be honest, are all over the world, because a lot of them have been displaced. They've been displaced from the country that they grew up in, that they lived in, and they've been moving out of there for the past 47 years because of this crazy regime. It's a theocratic regime where they literally have Sharia law, like the same thing that people in Western countries have been warning. We don't want this. We don't want this in our lands. We should make active steps to avoid this kind of situation happening. But yeah, they're coming in and they're having proxy attacks on the citizenry that left Iran.
Yeah. Actually, you probably don't have that clip queued up, and I don't think we want to play it too much, but did you see let's talk a little bit about it. Like, who's the journalist for Rebel, the girl from Montreal? She's got a very thick accent. Anyways.
Alexa Lavoie?
Alexa, did you see like her clip where she was confronted by somebody like an Iranian or somebody like that who's come here? Maybe not. I don't know who she was confronted, but she was confronted by somebody who's immigrated here who was clearly saying they hate Canada, and so she confronted
hate white people. Hate white people.
Yeah. And so this is part of the problem. But I'm glad some people are starting to wake up to this, right? We let in a bunch of bad people. Like man, it's not just that immigration was out of control with millions coming in and foreigners and temporary visas. Like the vetting just stopped altogether. Like people were literally pouring in. God, did you see Mark Carney this week was in China or in India last week? The video came out, right? Like it's a video that was of him in India being interviewed. So it doesn't make the big news in Canada, but he's talking to the Indian press and is like, oh yeah, we have 400,000. We're proud of the fact that we have 400,000 Indian students studying in Canada. Like he bragged about it. And I'm like, 400,000 students as part,
in a country of 40 million people.
Yeah. And they're all from one country. They're from India, and they're all here with good intentions. Like it's
it's funny for him to brag about that because it's the Khalistani groups in Canada have been using these scams as a recruiting tool for the Khalistani movement, which largely doesn't even exist in India because they'd been taken out.
It exists outside of India. Yeah. There's more. Yeah.
Canada is like the hotbed of the world. So for Mark Carney to brag about that is kind of like, it's a weird thing to brag about because the Indians are very much aware. Their intelligence agencies are very much aware of how Canada is basically, it would be like, Quebec separatist, movement. What was the name of the movement back in the 70s with the
FLQ?
The FLQ. Imagine them being over in India, recruiting a bunch of French people from all over the world fomenting and brewing and having training camps and stuff. That's exactly what's happening in Canada. And it's crazy because the Indians know about it and the Canadians don't want to acknowledge it. But it's because they're so deeply embedded in Canadian politics. And I mean, at every party level, they're deeply embedded. So the Canadian politicians just want to avoid it at all costs.
And that's one of the problems of, well, it's not a problem. It's actually a good thing for me. Carney's not a good politician. Like he's not, right? He's new to politics and he's going all over the world and he's not a very clever man and he's opening his mouth and inserting foot all over the place, right? Like he's going to get us in trouble. I keep saying it, man. He's going to go accidentally. Yeah, he's cozying up to the Chinese, but in cozying up to the Chinese, he's pissing off the Americans. Then he's going to go cozy up to the Indians, and in cozying up to the Indians, he's going to piss off somebody else. And then he's going to turn around and he's going to go back and try and smooth it over. Like he's just rushing around without a real plan, trying to be something, and in the process, he's messing it up. I mean, I like, and then weirdly, finally, Polievre is going around now and showing some sort of backbone and trying to do something. I mean, Polievre went to Europe this week, but we never heard about it because, Oh God, actually,
the question is, I
don't even have that on my list of things to talk about today. We got to talk about the CBC. We got to talk about Travis's chat on the CBC yesterday. Oh man.
Okay, we'll get into that. Just give
we'll get into it. Let's try to stick to our
we're still on Carney here. We're still on Carney, and that goes into what you were saying about Pierre. But Carney, okay, the reason why Pierre is doing this, he's trying to garner up support because he thinks that there's going to be some sort of election coming up soon. You and I have a bet on this. I still think I'm going to get my bottle of whiskey in January because I don't think there will be an election before then. And the reason why I say this is because Carney is not a Democratic leader. He's not a leader that worries about democracy. He's worrying about getting backdoor deals to get himself in a position where he's got a majority. And once he has a majority, what the hell is the point of him scheduling an election? It's up to him to schedule an election. There's no point. And he's proven that this week again with another MP, this time from the NDP, the New Democrat Party, coming over and becoming a Liberal MP. You heard about this, right?
Well, he had two events this week that play into that. So let's talk about the first one, which is the I don't even know how to pronounce her name. She's from Nunavut, right? She
Lori Inbloat, I think is how you pronounce that.
So actually, before we go into her deeply, did you see the tweet that Vesper dug into her? She's another one. Okay, so Vesper, friend of the channel, right? Vesper dug into her history. And he posted one tweet this morning, and it just showed she's the same as all the other ones across the floor. Like in the last 6 months, she was slamming the Liberal, like constantly, like just not a little bit of slamming, like really being against the Liberals. And then all of a sudden, boom. Oh, she walks across the floor. So why do you think she walked across the floor? For us, the obvious answer is always a little bit of money.
Oh,
This one's got a deeper story.
Oh, is it a deeper story? Okay, well, I have Vesper's tweet up on the screen here. But can you tell me like the TLDR, because it's quite a long tweet here. He really dug
you don't
into
need
her
to.
story.
I mean, these are like she literally like constantly slamming. She was like the other guy from Edmonton, or Lemuel. No, not Lemuel. The first guy who crossed the floor earlier this year. Like, it's just, she never had time. Let's put it this way: she didn't have time to go clean up her timeline, and she didn't even lock down. Go to the top of her account. Just go to the top of her account. Click on her. Oh no, you're on Vesper. Don't worry about it.
I'm on Vesper. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But she's still tweeting today. Her move was so rapid that she's still listed on her Twitter account as like an NDP MP. Okay, she hasn't even cleaned up anything. The other guys, when they cross the floor, they try and punt their accounts or delete their accounts. She hasn't had a chance to do that. So Vesper and others are just going and they're like just taking screenshots. And so up until like literally a week ago, she hated the Liberals. And now today she's a Liberal. And I don't know if we want to talk about who, but like she's got a son and she's got family that are in trouble. And
so that's the charge. That's what's being circulated around on social media right now. And that's this idea that her son was arrested on possession of CP, and that's not the conservative progressives or something like that. That's bad stuff with pictures of children in bad. You should never own. So this is something apparently her son was arrested for. This is the allegation. I don't know. I haven't corroborated. I just seen it online, but that would be enough, as people are saying, the NDP. Or it seems like a bribe to me to save her kid from prison, crossing the floor, becoming a Liberal. But that wouldn't be the first time someone got away with literal that stuff.
No, but that's how you started this segment, right? You said it. Mm-hmm. Carney is not a nice guy. He's not playing like he'll pretend to be a nice guy and play with the rules, but he is playing with the rules and his dirty politics. He's finding people that are going to be easy to entice over to the party, and he's going to win his majority by doing what he just did. I mean, and other parties were mad, like the Conservatives. When the Conservatives lost a couple of people that crossed the floor, Pierre was mad, but he still said, well, it is what it is. The NDP are really mad. I mean, for the NDP, like they had three, they're down to 7 seats. Now they're down to 6, and they're screaming bloody murder. But hey, you're dealing with Carney, and he's throwing around our money. I mean, the conservative guy who crossed the floor ended up on a trip with him to Lemuel, ended up in India and Australia. He's already moving forward from backbencher to next in line for cabinet. And all we have to watch for her is she'll be promised something. We don't know what, but it'll come out in about 6 months. So, and let's stick to that story. Let's finish the story, right? So Carney is re-winning his majority. Mm-hmm. I think he's at 170 now with this floor crosser. And then this week, he also announced 3 by-elections. So there are 3 empty seats, right? Mm-hmm. There's Chrystia Freeland's seat is empty, Bill Blair's, and the one in Terrebonne, the one that got the one that flipped on one vote on a recount that the courts threw out. That one.
That's right.
So he has 3 by-elections on April 19th, which is 6 weeks from now. And so Carney between now and April 19th is scheming to get 173 and get a majority. So now I mean it's going to be hard to. He's going to get his majority. I mean he might lose Terrebonne, the seat in Quebec, but he will the 2 seats in Toronto. They're going Liberal, man. Like Chrystia Freeland's old riding. Fuck, they can. They're running a young doctor in that riding. So that's one. And I don't know who they're running in Bill Blair's old riding, but they're picking some young appealing, youthful, good-looking, well-credentialed people to run in the by-election. So he's forking out money. And say what you want about Elections Canada rules, right? They're not supposed to do this, do that, do that. God, like I'd love to see the deals.
Yeah, I'd love to see what they're being offerred for
Yeah.
sure. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this is Canada's idea of democracy is over. It's
Totally.
completely, that's gone. There is no democracy in Canada. Period.
Well, no, and I mean, let's keep on these. Like, man, I guess we got to move quickly through the topics because we'll get back to them in the chat. But so now Carney's trying to get his majority. Even without his majority, you're right. There's no rules. Look at what he did to Bill C9 in the House of Commons yesterday and today, right? So he's trying to. C9 is the anti-hate law, which is a gross, egregious law. Like, I was talking about that with a buddy. Like, if that law passes, you, me, and my buddy Les, like one of the three of us, if C9 passes, one of the three of us, will be in jail in less than 2 years, Clyde, because somehow or other, something we'll have said will have warranted a knock on the door by the RCMP, guaranteed. So Carney yesterday didn't even have any debate in the House of Commons. They talked for 2 hours and then they shoved that bill, and now it's going to.
So how did they do that? What was the mechanism to make it so that they could turn off the debate? Because I saw that the Conservatives were really upset about it, and they were able to literally shut the debate down and say, forget it.
Yeah, they do it in committees. They do it in the House of Commons. There's so many things that are coming to mind. Remind me about the law one and Danielle Smith and budgets. I'll come back to that one. But no, they shut down the debate after 2 hours, and then tomorrow it'll be reintroduced for a third reading, and then they're going to send it to try and pass it and send it to the Senate for royal assent. I mean, and I want to warn people who are watching this, and again, you guys know this because you watch us week after week. If Carney tries to shove a bill like that fast when he has a minority government, and it's an unpopular bill, but he's going to shove it. Imagine the kinds of unpopular bills he's going to shove down our throats if he ever gets a majority.
Oh, it's insane.
It's insane, right? I mean, it scares me to see what he's doing with a minority. I just can't imagine what he'd do with a majority. With
the majority, it would be more stuff. It would be happening, and there would be less scrutiny on what's actually being written in these bills.
Yeah.
And like maybe this is why Pierre Poilievre is in a scramble to get attention, because last week he was on trigonometry. We talked about that.
Yeah.
And this week, what was it? Apparently, he's heading down to Austin, and Mark Nixon was speculating that he might be appearing on Joe Rogan.
Ooh, I missed that.
I don't. No, it's a speculation that he might be, because he's heading down to the Austin area, and it's like, well, why Austin?
Why else, right? I mean, that's odd, because last week he was down in. Last week he was meeting with. What a messed up world we live in, right? Last week he was meeting with Angela Merkel, and I'm like, she. You know what? Let's not even go there. I mean, they were literally. He was doing what we should have been doing all along, which is selling LNG. But she's the last person I would have ever expected to want to buy LNG. Sure, Germany wants LNG. I get that, but not her. I mean, she's the architect of their collapse of their green energy, and
she's no longer in charge either.
She's yeah. So again, Pierre, you're hitting a miss. You're meeting the wrong people, right? I know you're trying to be relevant. You're meeting the wrong people,
or meeting the right people, but like way at the wrong time.
Way at the wrong time.
Yeah. Honestly, it would come as a surprise to me if he was on Joe Rogan, because I don't see the interest there. I just don't see it. If you saw the podcast where he was on trigonometry, I love that podcast. They're a great podcast, by the way. But I mean, it was kind of dull. It was just him saying that, the old thing, and it's good. I guess it's refreshing to hear a politician in Canada say that the markets are good and socialism's bad. But I mean, what are you going to do about it? You're the official opposition, which means you're the guy that sits on the other side of the aisle and complains, but can't do anything really about it. There's no effective tool in his toolbox at this point to affect any real change on any of this stuff. And it's not getting people excited. It's not getting people excited at all. People are they've gone right back to sleep, and they're in Trump derangement land. And I mean, that's what's been happening. I mean, this is the best. Chris Barber put out this tweet just today. It caught my eye, caught my attention. But this was like the epitome of what Canada is at the moment. Everyone's being let off a cliff. It's just crazy, and it doesn't seem like we've got any reprieve from it. That's just where we're gonna go.
Well, again, related to this, I get people. I've been canvassing, right? Like I've said it. I've been on the side of the road about 4 hours a day now for 20, 21 days in a row. And I meet all sorts of people, and I hear their frustration. So I take time. I'm actually publishing.
Okay. Well, we're frozen. We're officially frozen, folks. There we go. You got your back, Marty.
Yeah. I hear the frustration in people's voices when they come talk to me, and then they ask questions that at this point I'm almost finding silly. I still answer it, but like people are still, conservative people are still weirdly believing in democracy and that we're going to vote our way out of this, and that, there's a solution at the end of the, like, I have people that say, isn't it illegal what the liberals are doing? I'm like, yeah. So why do they keep doing it? I'm like, because I don't know how to stop. There's no mechanism to stop the illegal activity. Like, how do we stop? We can't stop floor crossings. We can't stop budgets that are late to be delivered. Somebody brought up even Danielle Smith. Like, she published a budget last week that has a deficit in it, which is against the law in Alberta. And somebody said,
what?
Somebody
it's against the law?
Yeah. We're not allowed to have. We're not allowed to have 3 deficits in a row. That's just the law, right? And somebody brought that up the other day, said, shouldn't there be a law against deficits? I'm like, there is. Well, why aren't they respecting the law? I'm like, because how do you enforce the law when your government doesn't follow the law? Explain it to me. I haven't figured it out. How do you enforce,
So you nailed it right there. If the law, the rule of law doesn't apply to the government, then it doesn't apply to anybody. It really doesn't. And then the government, if they have the power to not enforce the law on themselves, then they also have the power to not enforce the law on their friends. And
we know that you're right. Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, and then we live in Soviet Russia at that point, because that's what Soviet Russia was. That's what led to its collapse. It was absolutely just a rule or a government or governance of corrupt cronyism. That's all it came down to. People had the power, and they were able to wield the power, give it to their friends, say you're allowed to engage in the market here, you're not allowed to engage in the market there, and they would just roll with that. It was just absolute corruption. This is where we sit today in Canada.
Yeah, well, and let me give you another example, and then I want to pivot to the CBC. But do you know Marco van Huigenbos? So Marco was one of the guys down at Coutts, kind of basically, right?
Okay.
And Marco was a counselor in one of the little towns, and when a protest was happening at Coutts, Marco realized what was happening and said, I'll volunteer to be the go-between the protesters and the RCMP. But in the end, similar to Chris and Tamara and others, Marco ended up being found guilty of mischief. Even though he had stepped in just in the role to be facilitate, the court said, you're the de facto leader, and then he paid a price for it, a heavy price. He ended up spending 120 days in jail. And this week, Marco just came out again and he spoke, because even though he spent his 120 days in jail, he appealed it on principle, right? He appealed it.
Yeah.
And the appeal court said, no, the 120 days was justified. And in their ruling, the appeal court said that what his lawyers said was like 120 days for mischief compared to just about anybody else who's committed mischief seems to be pretty strict, right? And the court says, no, you affected the lives of thousands of Canadians. And it's like Justin Trudeau affected the lives of millions of Canadians, and the courts found that him enacting the Emergency Measures Act was illegal and done incorrectly, blah, blah, blah. And what did the court say about Trudeau? Nothing. But when a citizen impedes the lives of whatever others, the courts threw the book at him. Yeah, no, it's I see a lot of people are making that comment in the chats. I'm even worried right now. Like I'm on the side of the road canvassing, and I had an incident the other day, and people and somebody warned me, is like they're baiting you. We'll come back to that, but I got to be very careful because I don't want to end up being a Tamara Litch or somebody else who's made an example of, because I'm a very vocal supporter of independence, and that makes me a huge freaking target, man. I have a huge target on my back right now. But before we go there, let's talk about Travis. What's his last name? Darjan or the whistleblower from the CBC who went to before the committee yesterday. Or you haven't covered that story yet?
Yeah, I haven't covered that at all because I went to listen to his testimony, and it I'm not gonna lie, it sounded like a guy who just got ousted by the insiders. Like it. This has been happening to people forever. But
yeah. No. I mean, he's what we would call a high maintenance employee, and so he got pushed out, and now he's upset as a high maintenance employee who got pushed out. He's whistleblowing, and he's coming back after his accusers, but he's bringing up some good point, right? He gave a lot of really good examples, saying basically, as a producer for the CBC, he wasn't allowed to bring in conservative voices, like on shows like Rosemary Barton on her, the National and David Corcoran's Power and Politics. Like he would try to bring conservative voices to those shows, and the CBC said no, like you can't do that. So
they would shut that down. Okay, that makes sense.
But I was just bringing it up to say that one of the pillars of our society is the media, right? When we talk about politicians acting outside the law, one of the most important mechanisms we used to have to prevent to keep the politicians on check was the media, and that's a super, like, the media is not just there to report that, hey, there was a firestorm over there or a flood over there. The media was supposed to report that, say, hey, that guy or that gal bought a $16 orange juice, whatever, right? And who reports on the misbehavings of the politicians? Nobody.
Well, they sure do when there's a conservative in power. That's why an expensive OJ is a scandal, but Beef Wellington isn't. You know what I mean? It's like it's unbelievable, the double standard that takes place. So like I listened to his testimony, I heard his initial remarks, but then, it was live and it was like committee, a bunch of other people speaking. So I tuned right out. I'm like, I got other things to watch. But in his initial thing, it was like, yeah, it was a confirmation really that there's bias there. And if you don't like the bias, they'll weed you out and they'll get you to sign an NDA, and then your career.
Yeah, but let me just point out one thing, right? There's sort of like, there's three places where you're kind of sworn to secrecy or to tell the truth. You're supposed to tell the truth in court. You're supposed to tell the truth in the House of Commons, and you're supposed to tell the truth in these parliamentary committees. Well, I think in court, they're still pretty good at telling the truth. In the House of Commons, I don't believe anything anymore. Like, that's bullshit. The committees were still a pretty good bastion for the while, but then in the last 5-6 years, even the parliamentary committees are a joke.
Yep.
And so what that poor guy was doing yesterday is they know that, you get invited. If I got invited as a speaker on a parliamentary committee, I'm given my first 4 minutes. I got to make those first 4 minutes count. Whatever I'm trying to tell you, I got to tell you in those first 4 minutes when I have the microphone, and they're not allowed to say point of order. Because once I'm done my first 4 minutes, after that, the committee then completely devolves into a gong show where everybody, anytime I keep answering a question after that or being interrogated, all you hear is point of order, blah, 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 blah. So the 90-minute committee is only really 4 minutes long. So that guy yesterday, he tried to tell his story in 4 minutes. That's all you can do. Welcome to Canada. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you can tune into his YouTube channel because that's where he's at now.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had an opportunity to say that. I mean, he did in a quiet sort of way. He talked about tokenism and the fact that he was brought in only as an Indian guy, and even his co-hosts, everybody was like token people to go with the DEI stuff.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have just expanded more on that. Really, at the end of the day, he only touched the surface of it, and it got nowhere. It went nowhere.
Yeah, he tried. He
tried.
I think he did okay. I think he did okay. He gave us food for thought. He gave us some material. I'm busy right now, but Mark Nixon and Table Salt and a bunch of others, even Jasmine, people are picking up on pieces that he laid down, and hopefully there'll be a little bit of expansion on it. But at the end of the day, I was talking about this on the side of the road. Is the CDBC going to change? Is Rosemary Barton suddenly going to be sidelined and given a shitty job at the CBC? No. She'll probably be made into a governor or a senator in the next year and a half. So no, it's
good job running cover for us, and we're going to reward you handsomely for it. And that's the thing. You did say you said a lot on the side of the road. There's been a lot of words on the side of the road. You've been out there canvassing, doing your part for the Alberta Independence movement. And you've been catching some flack for it. We heard about the flack, a bit of the flack. It started off with middle fingers and obscenities shouted at you as you're out there collecting signatures. And then where did it devolve, Marty? How has this gone crazy?
I got a target on my back, man. They're coming every day now. It's a pattern. Like what I'll say his name on it. I won't say his full name, but my buddy Les we become good friends, right? We're generally the two guys together at the table. So me and Les play a game now. When we see a certain kind of cars coming, we're like friend or foe, right? Because we're parked on a service road, and so you have to get off the main highway and turn a zigzag and come down about 100 yards, right? You can see us. So when the cars are turning and they come towards us, it's like friend or foe, and it's quite funny, right? Like some cars, like when you see a pickup truck with ladders on it and a welder on the back, that's friend. Like that's a blue collar guy coming to sign, right? But when you see a beat up old van with a handicap sticker on the rear view mirror and a few other things, that's faux. Okay, that's faux. And so we play the game, and so this lady yesterday came, and if you want to go see the video, there's a video. She was offensive, and it was bad. But that's her there. She was. I'm
not going into the whole video. You guys can go check out the video.
Don't go into the video, but that's the other game we play, right? Like I idle at 70, right? We all know that. Marty idles at 70 and can go to 100 pretty quick. So on some of the people, we've always like that's Karen right there. So the joke is like, okay, Karen, you handle and so even Karen lost her temper on this one. This lady turned around, but what was fascinating is that this lady turned around, swerved us, and then played. I have it near the tip of my at the top of my thread there. Play the video of the guy with the green puffy shirt.
Oh, well, let me find it. Hold on.
Yeah, it should be very. So after she turned around and flew past us, after she was all mad and got back in the car, swerved, drove within a foot of us, missed us nearly, and went back to the intersection, she stopped and she had a familial chat with somebody there. And you're not finding it, or
what am I looking for? I'm looking for what?
It's almost like the very near. Maybe out here. Let me just pop it up back again.
The red hair lady with the phone, is that the one I'm looking at?
No, it's a guy who's holding the he's holding a phone to my face in the give me a second, I'll find it here and I'll
Okay.
I thought I'd moved it up.
Oh, I think I got it. I think I've got it.
Sorry to do this, folks.
No,
you got.
We'll make sure we get it. Here's the clip that I'm looking at.
Yeah, that one there. Okay, there. Yeah.
Do you want me to play it, or
just pause it for a second? So, yeah, I want you to play it from the start. But before you play it, so she turned around and then she drove, and then so her car's the one on the left, and he was sitting there on the right. And I walked up because I'm like, okay, why did she stop here to talk to this guy? It's a 17-second clip, and just play it and pay attention to what I'm saying, and then I'll just break it down a little bit. This was the most interesting part of yesterday. First 30 seconds. Play it.
No, I don't have weapons. She's a crazy kook who tried to freaking run me over. What's your role in this?
I'm a bystander.
And
All you guys.
you're watching somebody interfere with a...
Watching you grab her.
No, I didn't grab her. She grabbed me, and I have it on video. All right. I guess you're a witness.
Yeah.
Okay, pause it.
all right.
So this is let me just replay this for you real quick. So I show up to this guy with my camera. This is my theory. These people, a lot of the people that have been coming to interfere and harass us are paid to do this. And he's the handler. So he's one of the handlers who's sending people to come interfere with us. When I showed up, the first thing he said to me, so I show up with my camera, he's like, "Are you armed?" Okay, and the reason he said that is because that guy's a trained police officer. So he's either a federal officer in RCMP, or he's trained, and his instincts kicked in. So he saw me come to him, and he's like, "I'm wearing gear. I look intimidating." And I showed up, and then he went, "Oh shit, this is not my usual guy." I showed up cool, calm, and collected. I said, "What are you?" So he asked me, "Are you armed?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not armed, you kook. Like, she's a crazy kook." Then I said, "What's your role in this?" Which caught him off guard, right? He's like, I'm watching you grab her. And then you saw me. I said, "No, I'm not grabbing her. She grabbed me. I have it on video." And I said, and then if you listen in the car, there's a dispatch. So in the vehicle that he's in, you can hear the radios talking. And
I was hearing the radio. I was going to ask you, is there a police car behind you or something?
No. There's no cops at this point. So he's the only one there. And then when he turns around,
he's got a police scanner, or what?
All sorts of stuff, right? So if maybe he's not a cop, but he's involved in this. And then I caught him off guard. But I mean, who the hell says, "Are you armed?" And so the guys at Coutts that lived through exactly this. When you listen to him, he's trying to set the narrative on his camera, but I'm not biting. I'm like, "Oh, so so you witnessed her, you did this." So I flipped it on him, which made him nervous. You could tell that he walked back to his car, and he wanted to, because there was somebody else in his car who was talking to the lady. Anyways, I'm just bringing it up, folks. I mean, I'm a citizen who's got a voice, and once we get a voice, we become targets of our own government.
Yeah.
They don't like us.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, of course you're a target of the government. You're looking to take a giant territory out of Canada.
Yeah.
I mean,
with my 1905 hat, right?
For anyone to say that, "Oh, that's kooky to think that that's what's happening." Are you kidding me? Just think about it for 1 second. The lead people that they're leading the charge of an entire province that has some of the biggest wealth in the entire country is about to convince everybody to leave, up and go out of the country, and you think that they're not going to have some sort of agents down there in the fray trying to make this happen.
They want a video
thing.
Yeah, they want a video
tinfoil
of me.
hat conspiracy theory, in my estimate, is people that think that the government wouldn't be involved in this somehow.
Yeah, they want a video of me getting mad at somebody or doing something. Like, that's what they want. Right? That's what they did at Coutts. And so now I'm getting a little more nervous. So today when we went there, I made sure, we got 4 guys on the canvassing table now. We're not going to be, but we don't want to get too big, because if we get too big, we'll be considered a protest or something, right? So there's a fine line.
Well, so there are protections for you from people that are, it's not just mere assault. If somebody attacks you, they're actually interfering in the political process, right? Is that correct?
Correct. But then now we're getting into a whole other can of worms. So today, Elections Alberta put out a statement, and they're telling us that they don't want, that we have to be careful as canvassers to not portray ourselves as being Elections Alberta. And then Elections Alberta was
that's other people getting confused, not you. You clearly stated in the video that I saw, I'm a canvasser for this. And
no, what I have to say is I'm a canvasser following Elections Alberta rules, but I am not a canvasser for Elections Alberta. So now they're threatening us and telling us you guys are I'm like, holy shit. And again, you remember my story last year? Like during the election, I took a picture of my ballot and I got in shit from Elections Alberta for having a picture of my freaking ballot. So I do something stupid like that, they fine me and they'll send me a notice. But if somebody comes and threatens me while I'm doing something democratic, no. Like the double standards in this country are mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
Well, because it's clear where they want it to go.
Yeah,
they're not happy with the way it's going. In fact, that's it. So tell me something, because what was it? My buddy Jack, he was telling me about a bunch of chiefs that have brought forward a lawsuit. What is that lawsuit? What does that have?
It's not a lawsuit at this point. It's an injunction. So they're not even. They're just trying to stop the petition. like we're only at the petition.
On what grounds? On what grounds can they stop that?
That we could that the petition is requesting a referendum on something that might be unconstitutional. It's like, doesn't matter. Then let us collect our signatures, and then afterwards, the courts can decide, or the government can decide if the question we're asking is unconstitutional. But at this point, we're petitioning. It'd be like they're asking us to not even question, not even do anything. Like they don't even want us to collect, like to submit a petition. Like that
doesn't work. What judge would grant an injunction of that nature?
A judge that's scared of the First Nations, a judge that's been appointed by the Liberals, a judge that just doesn't want to rock the boat. I mean, we're worried, not we, but Keith Wilson and others are genuinely worried that the judge will just go, I'll err on the side of caution and I'll grant you your injunction. And that now the injunction is not to cancel the petition, but the injunction is to halt it, right? We have until May 2nd to collect signatures. The judge could just say, all right, they brought up a good point. I'm going to consider it. And while I'm considering it, I'm going to stop what you're doing. So we're and the hearing,
that's political interference.
It's completely bonkers. The Clarity Act even says that trying to stop the Clarity Act is unconstitutional. You know what I mean? Like, but at this point, we're throwing the word what did we say earlier in the show? What do the laws in this country mean? So we're kind of becoming at that point now. We're at that point where we're saying, screw the law, screw what Elections Alberta says, screw what the Clarity Act says, screw what the Citizens Initiative says. Let's just collect 1 million signatures from pissed off Albertans. And then let's just take a U-Haul full of 1 million signatures and go drop it off on the steps of the court or the Prime Minister, the Premier, and say, you got 1 million of us pissed off. I don't care what the law says. Oh, you gave me 1 million signatures that are signed in pencil instead of being signed in pen. That doesn't mean anything. All right, do that at your own risk. Do that at your own risk, because what we're doing right now is we're collecting 1 million signatures from 1 million pissed off people. And we're hoping that the judges and others realize that, if you start you're going too far now and messing with this. And that's the interesting thing, because
here's the thing. So I got to ask you this.
Yeah.
If they grant the injunction, what are they going to do if you still go out and
we're still going to collect? That's the thing. We've already said that.
What are they going to do? They're going to haul you off to prison for collecting signatures from people?
They're going to refuse to count them. And we're going to go, that's fine. We're still going to collect them. And here's the boxes. And we're going to take pictures. And we're going to submit you don't want us to collect signatures. We're still going to collect them. Yeah, that's a great question. People are like, what are you going to do? I'm not changing. I'm going to go collect signatures.
And so all the people... So let me get this straight. if I gotta do
It's
this,
that
right?
warped. It's that warped. You're not
It's
off.
that warped.
Yeah.
So if they grant the injunction to stop the petition, all the votes prior to the injunction are counted, and then you guys will still go out and get them, but you'll just have to count those separately.
Yeah. So we're
in my estimate, you guys already have the required amount of votes. It's
we
just
do, and we could actually submit it. We could close, even though we have until May 2nd to collect signatures. We could say we'll stop on April 5th because the hearing is on April 7th, right? So we could decide on our own. We'll stop on April 5th and count them. Oh, we only have 350. Here's the 350. We're twice the threshold. I think that might happen. I mean, we're actually pushing hard right now. And but that's the silliness. And the Chiefs, like if you saw what they did this week, it's not resonating. There is a great awakening, and people are waking up going, wait, 6 chiefs, unelected chiefs, right? Hereditary chiefs, 6 chiefs that represent reserves of land
who ripped their people off, by the way.
Rip their people off. Yeah, absolutely.
They rule like dictators in their own communities while their
Clyde,
people live in squabbles and they live in wealth. It's crazy.
Clyde, what? Oh God! I wish I mean, I have my camera on standby all the time, but yesterday a lady caught me, or 2 days ago, a lady caught me off guard. It was a Cadillac Escalade, so I thought, okay, this is genuinely somebody coming to sign, and I wasn't prepared. It was a treaty. Indian, and I think it was a chief who came to give a shit, and I didn't have the camera and I didn't have the time to turn on the camera. She was giving me shit. She was in a Cadillac Escalade.
Yeah, so either a chief or just turned 18.
No, it was an older lady. Guaranteed it was a chief or the chief's wife or whatever. No, people are waking up. I mean, the stunt pulled by the Chiefs and Naheed Nenshi, who went along with it, it's not resonating. In fact, it's we're running out of time, but I will say this: standing there as a canvasser, I get guys who pull up, barely stop the car, the door's open, they're running out, they're coming to the table, and they're going, "Where do I sign?" And then I can tell I'm disconnected while I'm on the side of the road because I'm not on my phone all day long. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm like, okay, so what just happened? Like, did Carney just do something stupid? And then people are like, yeah, they just announced that somebody's crossing the floor. Like, instantly I get 17 signatures. Like, it's that's the kind of reaction. You know what I mean? Like, and we laugh about it. And I'm like, yeah, keep doing that, Carney. Like, keep doing stupid stuff, right? Like last week when that tanker of LNG came over to Nova Scotia from Australia, man, I got 50 signatures in like an hour because everybody's mad. Like,
Wow.
The one this week that really helped was we're paying $1.90 for diesel. I don't know. I don't even want to know what you guys are paying, but most of us drive diesel trucks. $1.90. It went from $1.40 to $1.90. Even though it's mostly Trump's fault, everybody's like, nah, it's Carney's fault. And then now they're pissed off.
Well, at least they don't have Trump derangement syndrome there. I'm sure everywhere else in Canada.
We don't have it here. No, we don't.
Oh, the rest of Canada is just insane. I live in sort of the lower British Columbia, and it's just awful. It's absolutely awful. The Trump derangement syndrome's off the chains. And if you look at Eastern Canada, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. We'll actually have to get into that in the after stream. So if you're watching this after the fact, you're watching this on Thursday morning, this is the normal segment, but then we continue on. We go talking about all kinds of other stuff. So we're going to be talking about Iran and all the other situations with Donald Trump and Straits of Hormuz. So if you want to see it, you got to either become a member. You can watch this anytime you'd like, or check it out. Check it out when it's live Wednesdays at 6:30 Pacific time. That's at 9:30 Eastern. Check us out. Marty, where can people find you?
Marty Up North on X or Marty Up North on YouTube.